Are you here? Indubitably you is. And this is episode number 1090 of the Paul Leslie Hour. We are thrilled to welcome you and Leo Zaki for a personal interview. Mr. Zaki is an accomplished poultryman, businessman, and candidate for California governor in 2026. Be sure to subscribe to Paul Leslie's YouTube channel for more interviews just like this. And go right ahead. Ring the bell, ladies and gentlemen, and click subscribe. The moment you've been waiting for is here. It is showtime.
From Zaki Farms to the governor's race, Leo Zaki is charging in with real-world experience. A businessman, a farmer, a lover of this country and the great Golden State. Leo Zaki, thank you so much for making time and talking to me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's going to be interesting to hear about how you're going to shake things up in Sacramento. Tell us a little bit about your family. I think it's very, very interesting, the backstory here.
Well, started with my family coming to California about 120 years ago. And then my great-grandfather started Sam's Poultry Market, which my grandfather then turned into Zaki Farms and was in business for 90 years. And we became the largest privately owned employer in the state of California, vertically integrating our entire operation here in the state. And we were the largest poultry producers on the West Coast, the largest organic turkey producers in the nation, pioneered antibiotic-free. We're the largest second chance employers in the state. And I got to be a part of that. I was a vice president of the company. I started at the bottom as a sales service rep. I did cold calling for a while after that. That was not fun. And then cut my teeth learning the business from the ground up, working in the processing plant and all that, and on the hatchery and the ranches and all, and became a vice president. And I was also a board member for the California Poultry Federation for a decade, where I'd go to DC and Sacramento and meet with all the elected officials, senators, congressmen, USDA, FDA, EPA, state reps, so on and so forth. And that's kind of my business background with Zaki Farms and how we became this powerhouse. I mean, we were a $500 million company back in 2000, and we got forced out of business a few years ago.
Such an interesting life experience that you've had. And, I surprise people sometimes when I say this, but I love California. California is one of the absolute most beautiful states.
I agree.
And there are a lot of misconceptions about California. What do you think the rest of the nation gets wrong about the Golden State?
Well, it's wrong. They're right that it's the land of fruits and nuts. No doubt about that. It is. No, they're pretty spot on. I mean, I don't know what they get wrong. I mean, it's poorly run. Our taxes are high. Yeah, we got great weather, but it's just California's so mismanaged. That's where all the problems come from. And unfortunately, the country identifies that as the truth. It used to be a place where growing up, I'd tell people I was like, I'm from California. They're like, oh my God, that's so cool. I'd love to go there. It's amazing. And then now I tell people I'm from California and they just kind of scoff and
yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of things that people don't know. I mean, when it comes to as opposed to I'd say the agriculture numbers are definitely something that people don't know about California. I mean, we are the leading producer in the world for avocados and artichokes, strawberries, but we lead the nation in so many other products like dairy cattle, beef cattle. We got more oranges than Florida, more peaches than Georgia, and all our businesses, including our farmers, our agriculture is leaving because it's not cost effective here.
Well, on the note of mismanagement,
almonds, that's the other one. Almonds is what
almonds. I think I'd heard that, but yeah, you guys are like the fruit basket and the salad bowl of America when you consider all that produce.
Yeah, 2/3 of your winter vegetables come from California, and a lot of them, like carrots and lettuce, for example, are grown in Imperial County. So we have ag up and down the state. It's not just in the Central Valley. I mean, those artichokes are predominantly grown in Salinas. Like I mentioned with the carrots and the lettuce down in Imperial County. The almonds definitely in the Central Valley. Strawberries, Ventura County.
A very agrarian state. Now, somebody that I see in the news just constantly, and usually it's for the wrong reasons, is the current governor of California, Gavin Newsom. And it seems like lately he has this obsession, and it almost seems like a crush or something, that he really, really wants to get on the Joe Rogan podcast. What do you make of this fixation that he has, which a lot of people around the country are saying is very bizarre?
Well, he's clearly running for president in 2028. There's no doubt about that. And the secret is that its visibility now today is everything when it comes to the political landscape. I mean, you really don't have to have tons of money to do this. You just have to be visible. Don't get me wrong, you do need money because the way these podcasters all operate, and this is what I've been learning as a crash course as a candidate here, is that your followers, how many followers you have means a lot. What other shows you've been on will resonate to other bigger podcasters and networks, because if they can see that you're on those shows and have X amount of followers, then they'll be willing to have you on. And as long as you're available in the palm of somebody's hand, that's the best way to get your message out there and your name ID up. And that's really what it comes down to is, do people recognize you? Do they think you're trustworthy? Will they consider voting for you? And then having that translated to ballot box. So that's what it is. I mean, look, people around the country, conservatives, know how bad he is, but maybe you have some moderate Democrats who don't really pay attention, or you have low information voters that don't know. But hey, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and then he lies about being this moderate guy, which we all know he's not. And then you'll just convince somebody who's not willing to do their research and learn about a candidate. And that's that simple.
Well,
I
not
hope
to
Joe doesn't have him on.
You hope he doesn't have him on?
Yeah. I mean, look, you shouldn't be platforming this guy because he's so terrible. I mean, look how he's destroyed California. I mean, look at his legacy. He started off in San Francisco, and for 20 years, he's been promising to end the homeless crisis. And, well, he's spent over $25 billion recently. We have 50% more homeless. Destroyed San Francisco. I mean, it's a crime hellhole full of people fleeing and businesses fleeing. I mean, the only In-N-Out Burger that's ever closed its doors closed down in the San Francisco area because of crime. I mean, it's out of control. The state's in debt. What, over $3.7 trillion at least? I mean, it's all under his watch and his time, and everywhere he's gone, it's just been a trail of destruction.
Well, not to dwell on negative too much, but the other person from California who has been getting some ink has been this Katie Porter. Again, people getting publicity for the wrong reasons. Do you think that her little media fiasco where she didn't want to answer basic questions, has that squashed her chance in the governor's race?
I think it's definitely hurt her pretty significantly. I think people on the left that are dyed-in-the-wool Democrats with Trump derangement syndrome will just vote for whatever the party tells them to, and that's how they'll operate. So, I mean, it's definitely not helping her, but we'll see with the jungle primary and all the Democrat candidates that they have that are notable names like Javier Becerra. I think Rob Bonta is getting in the mix. Then you have who else? Yeah, I mean, all these notable names, like, it'll divide the vote up. The Republicans will have that chance to win.
Well, I'm an accentuate the positive kind of guy. So what about the good things? What do you think and what do you want to do to make California the golden state that it is?
Just fix the foundational issues that impact everybody. I mean, we all know what the problems are living here in California, and all the other candidates will tell you what this place is wrong, this is bad, we got to change this, we got to fix this, but they never tell you how they're going to do it. And so I've developed common sense, tried and true solutions that will help end all these problems like drought, like homelessness, like crime, like corruption, like wildfire, making sure education's actually good here in the state of California, lowering the cost of living. All these things are interconnected, and turning a lot of these net revenue losers that we have into net revenue generators, using our resources like oil, which we have a ton of here in California. We have water that we're dumping to the sea, and we haven't built out significant water infrastructure, and we've been approved to build desalination plants. So by focusing on water abundance and then being able to export that water via the Colorado Rivershed, which we get the lion's share, we don't have to build infrastructure to pipe it out. That brings in money. So you have the oil, you have the water, now you have the logging industry. We need to bring the logging industry back into California, not to do clear cutting, but because we have the invasive bark beetle, which is destroying our hardwood trees and exacerbating these devastating wildfires. So you can then have income coming in from that, while at the same time gleaning the forest and eradicating an invasive, detrimental, environmental destructive creature. And then you utilize CAL FIRE to become a revenue generator as well, because whenever we have these wildfires and other places send their firefighting equipment and their men, that's not out of the kindness of their heart. There's a dollar amount attached to it. So if we can properly invest in CAL FIRE and, drone firefighting units that can go and take off and zip over whenever smoke's detected and extinguish it really quickly while the rest of the main forces are on their way to keep it from spreading as rapidly, that's how we can help mitigate the wildfires. And then by putting in good technology, like getting those DC-10s and all the great planes and the state-of-the-art equipment, we can then knock our stuff down easy and not have to deal with it, and then send it elsewhere to bring money back into the state. So right now, the state exclusively subsists on tax dollars coming from people's hard-earned dollars, and we have to diversify our revenue streams. And anything you want to do in business has to have a means for offsetting its costs. And that's what I have part of my homeless to home program that I've developed, where you actually identify the root cause of the problem, which is a mental health crisis exacerbated by a failed education system and a drug epidemic that's going on here in California. So by providing treatment for these people, enforcing your vagrancy laws is step one, then providing treatment for them. Obviously, if they're illegal and they're here illegally as legal aliens, you deport them. And then I've got a great company that will help provide, it's not mine, but I made a deal with them where they'll sell us these small modular tiny homes for $2,000 a unit. We can pay them off at $75 a month over 27 months. And we don't have to build these exorbitantly expensive brick and mortar facilities that are tens of millions of dollars, that are $80,000 a bed a year. So we get them in these facilities where it's secure, they're getting treatment, but they also learn a job skill, and they'll earn a living wage doing the work that they'll be learning. So basic construction they'll help build our reservoirs as a part of my water abundance project. Give 10,000 people a shovel, they can dig a pretty big hole pretty quickly, and they can also pour concrete. That's a reservoir, rinse and repeat. Then sanitation, where they can clean up our roads and our tourist traps and beautify the state and keep our parks clean. And then agriculture work, where they'll raise crops, maybe even livestock, which we can then turn around and sell to offset the cost of taking care of them. So we can sell it. And I've been in the food industry. You'll get a high dollar price for an organic feel-good product. Shoppers at Erewhon and Whole Foods will gladly pay that. Or even if we export it and it's feedlot, it'll still bring in money. And then wildfire and forest management, underbrush clearing, making sure that they're doing back burning. And so that'll help also prevent the wildfires from being as devastating. And that'll save us billions of dollars on the balance sheet elsewhere. So they get their mental health under control. And all the while, this is creating jobs for people to come in and help, with the treatment. We learn about these mental illnesses and how we can better treat them, and proper ways to provide drug treatment. And, meds, pre-med students can go and intern there, and people getting degrees in psychology can go and intern there and better understand the human psyche with these illnesses. So there's all these positive developments coming from that. So they earn the minimum wage, you deduct their housing costs, which is $75 a month, and you deduct, their mental health care, their drug rehab. It never puts them into debt. They accumulate that money in an account they can't touch until they complete the program. So they've got their mental health under control. They've got their drug habit under control. You've rebuilt their self-esteem. You've taught them a job skill. They have money in the bank. They're eligible for government-assisted housing, and anybody who hires them coming out of the program gets a tax incentive for doing so. And so that's my plan on how we can end homelessness here in California. But they're all tied together, and that's the really cool thing about my solutions, is that they're all complementary, and that when all these things combine, and you have an abundance of water, for example, like you can grow more crops. Our farmers aren't having to be limited on what they can produce based on the water availability. So when they overproduce the food, the cost of food comes down, which makes us more competitive in the global market, which brings in more revenue into the state of California. So all these things are compounding. And even with the oil, extracting the oil here will create over 100,000 jobs in all the different facets in the industry surrounding it, whether you're drilling or capping or saltwater extraction, or you're refining, or you're doing the building or the logistics that are involved in all these things. Like, it's all combined. And now also with the oil revenues, we'll bring in like $80 billion a year annually into the state. I mean, that's over a third. It's almost, it's over a third of our annual budget, right there alone. So, and that's what I've learned. That's the thing. Like, unlike my opposition, they don't have the business experience that I have, and they don't have that common sense, simplified solution that a farmer like myself has. Those are just a couple of the things. I mean, I can talk more about, whatever you want, education or corruption, you name it. I'll just keep going.
Well, for anybody out there who's watching or listening with us, if this is resonating, you might want to check out leozaki.com, and that's ZACKY.com. ZAKY. And something that I do want to ask you about. It's surprising to me how many Republicans there are in California. There are a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, I think there's a lot of people who might be open because why keep doing something that doesn't work? What would you say to somebody who historically they've always voted or they've always supported Democrats, and they're hearing this Leo Zaki gentleman and they're thinking, never heard anybody explain things like this.
Well, it's simple. It's about policy and not party. This left and right divide has only caused more problems in this country, especially in the state of California. And if you just blindly vote for party without looking into who the person that's supposed to represent you actually is and what they intend to do, then are you really doing the right thing? I mean, it's your civic duty to go and vote and be a part of the society, but we need to plan here. I'm so tired of this left and right party nonsense because it's not helping anybody. What, you hate somebody because they have a difference in opinion? I think one thing that everybody can agree on is that we all want to live safe, comfortable, affordable lives where our kids can get a proper education and we can take the vacation that we want to take every year with the family that we can afford to raise and the house that we can afford to own. I think these are all pretty baseline things that everybody wants. I have a plan to get us there. Of course, it's going to take time, but I'm talking about massive public works projects that are going to create jobs and revenue, and they're going to build out the infrastructure that we need to have the affordability here in California. And then when you don't have to have the tax burden put on you, you get to keep that money that you earn. I mean, we're the highest taxed state in the nation, 14.9%. I mean, that's outrageous. And we're not utilizing the tools that we have at California's disposal. I mean, there's other countries around the world that extract oil and they pay for their citizens' education, they pay for their health care, or they just straight up give them money. Like, I mean, look at Norway, for example. They literally have an app on their phone that's constantly ticking up with how much money that they have in that account. I mean, there's no reason that we can't do that as well, but we allow the divide to take place. And so I really just ask people, if you think things are broken and you hate seeing the homeless everywhere and you hate that you can't afford a home and that your friends are moving out of state or you're thinking about moving out of state, then it's time to take a real solid look at everything around you. Let's just focus on the basics. I'm not here to talk about social issues, okay? I'm here to talk about the things that impact all of us. And I want to bring everybody together, especially in legislature, under the concept that we are all on the same team, and that's Team California. And I'm trying to lead that charge with a plan. I've got a plan. I've got a direction. Let's all go there and work together.
Again, it's leozacky.com, Leozacky. I always leave the last word to the guest. And so it's a very open-ended question for anyone who's tuned in. First of all, thank you so much for tuning in, but I'll leave the last words to Leo.
Well, it's your chance to do something different. Clearly, what we've been doing isn't working, and I don't need this job. You guys need to have me to have this job. Otherwise, you're just going to get more of the same, and we can't sustain more of the same here in California. I've got a proven business background in agriculture, and I've been around these people in office, and let me tell you, been to their offices, had dinners with them. The people that are elected don't care about you. They don't care about your business or your family, and they love being wined and dined. Oh, and by the way, they're really stupid too. And so if you're looking for people that actually want to do the right thing by you, I'm your guy. I also have experience in small business, like in restaurants. I've had commercial real estate property, so I've dealt with all those issues as well. I want to empower people to become small business creators. I want to streamline the permitting process so you can be your own independent business creator, so you can create jobs and drive your own wealth and become that successful person that you've always dreamed of. Those tools can be made available, but it takes the leadership to get you in that position. So I'm just trying to do everything for everybody as best I can, and I'd love to earn your vote and your support. I've got a couple other great companies that are both valued at over $100 million a piece. One does protein replication. We're working with the UN to end world hunger, and also another one where we do plastic waste conversion into graphene. So not only are we taking these toxic chemicals out of the environment, but we're creating a product that's needed for the tech industry as well, and that we can do that here in California and compete with China, who controls 85% of the graphene market. So lots of things that we can do here in California. Again, business background. I'm young. I'm a fourth generation Californian. I'm actually from here. And look, there's 1,000 other things I'd love to go do right now. But if I don't do this and I don't fix this state, then I don't have the reason to raise a family here, and neither do you. And I suggest you go look for greener pastures if that's the case. But I recommend you stay and fight and get involved as well and run for office and do it from your heart, and don't do it for money and don't do it for glory. Do it because you care and you want to make this place better like I do. So I'd love to earn your vote and support.
Leo Zaki, thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir.
We thank you and appreciate you dropping in for the Paul Leslie Hour today. You know, you can help the Paul Leslie Hour in our mission to provide independent media content like this by visiting www.thepaulleslie.com/support. We truly thank you. This is your announcer speaking. Performance of The Entertainer intro song and Corina Corina outro song, courtesy of John Primorano. Well, that's it for today. So until next time, be safe and be good.